It's re-entry Monday. What's your take from the weekend?
Red Sox picked up 2 out of 3 in New York, huh? Pretty good.
Oh, really?
Pretty good. How much of it is sustainable, though? That's the takeaway. I think the style in which the Red Sox won these games this weekend, Joe, I don't think is sustainable. They hit. They mashed their way to victory. Their pitching still really struggled all weekend long. The bullpen in particular was a problem. Trevor Story homering, Trevor Story having a big weekend. Ask yourself how much of it is sustainable. There were good moments, no doubt about it. Carlos Narvaez with the 3-run homer last night that changed the course of that game and changed the course of the series. What a tremendous find he's been. He's been incredible. I can't believe the Yankees let that guy go. That is a steal. But how much of what you saw is truly sustainable, and I have big questions about it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is the turning point. You go into New York, the team leading the division, you make a statement, you bounce back from it. Hunter Dobbins with the comments that he made to, the Boston Herald, which ESPN was all over last night, which I'm sure we'll get into in a minute. He gives up the 2-run homer, then doesn't give in for the rest of the game. There were some good things that happened, no doubt about it. But I think the manner in which they won was not sustainable, and I'm still not seeing this Red Sox team put together something consistent. If they're going to win 10-7 games, if you're going to tell me they're going to do that, I just don't believe in you, because they haven't consistently done that all year long, and the pitching was still a problem. So 2 out of 3, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy about it. I'm just not convinced that this is a turning point. I hope 2 weeks from now I'll come in and say I'm wrong, but I'm not convinced in any way that was a turning point.
The Red Sox winning this series did nothing for me. I'm glad they won another Garrett Crochet start, so I'm in on that.
They won 10-7, though.
True. I think, though, they have to win the starts that he has, and they have an over 500 record, right?
Well, I mean, they're 8-6, which the guy's got a 2 ERA. I mean, you should be a little better than 8-6.
You've seen Paul Skeens, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just going to take in some positives here, Matt. Taking some positives for the weekend. It didn't do much for me, or at least winning the series did nothing for me. Campbell has been struggling. Got a nice little home run yesterday. Made a couple of nice hits in this series, but that's preventing them from bringing up Roman Anthony.
No, it's not.
All right, we'll get into that. It also keeps everything together a little bit longer here, Matt. Devers continues to mash baseballs, but not run out baseballs, and the manager does nothing about it. So, like, Devers, it's weird. I'm Team Devers at times, but, like, you can be the best hitter in baseball. Can also pick up a glove. But that's a story for another day. But there's a lot that happened this weekend when it came to the Red Sox. I'll just leave it at this. They won 2 out of 3. That's probably a good thing. But every time this year, Matt, where they've won a big game,
They've lost.
They've lost the next one, and it meant nothing. So, again, winning 2 out of 3 is huge, but it's what you do now. And just from what I've seen this year, yeah, having a big win on Sunday Night Baseball looks great, but if you don't follow it up with a win in the next series or whatever, you're just the same old Red Sox that are a mediocre baseball team.
Yeah, momentum in baseball is only as good as your next day's starter, right? And your starter tonight is Brian Bayo. Do you believe in Brian Bayo? Yes or no?
If the manager would allow him to go past 5 innings, I would like that. How about that? Can you try to get 5 innings out of the guy? People blame Bayo for that. I also blame the manager for it, too.
No doubt. There's a culture problem there. The managers had major issues. But, again, like...
To answer your question, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Jimmy Stewart, do you believe in Brian Bayo? Yes or no?
Today, no.
Okay, so there you go. Then you don't necessarily believe in what the Red Sox are doing right now. Momentum is only as good as your next day's starter, and that's the problem. That's the issue. Let's say they find a way to put some of this stuff behind them, the culture stuff, which I'm not convinced they're going to do, because I think the manager's a problem. I think their best player's a problem, all of that. But you have, a good feeling moment. You win a rubber game in Yankee Stadium, Sunday Night Baseball. You're feeling good coming home. You take on the Rays as you come back to Fenway Park tonight. What I've seen from the Red Sox all year long is they lose this game. They have lost this game, tonight's game, all year long. And what I saw this weekend doesn't change any of that, at least for me. I hope it does. I hope I'm wrong, but sorry, one weekend doesn't change it.
All right, we'll get in on the Red Sox. The phone number 617-779-0985. My leadoff take is Brad Marchand. We've been covering the games here, or broadcasting the games at night, so I've been hanging around listening. I left at 12:15 on Friday night. I wanted to hang out with Skaz, who will be on later on tonight, by the way. And I was like, I'm going to leave. This thing, it's taking too long. I get in the car, Brad Marchand scores the goal, and I'm shocked. And as I'm driving, I go, I'm happy for this guy. It never was going to happen for Brad Marchand in Boston this year. Long term, he probably wasn't worth that money here. But he was an awful captain. I want to admit that. He was an awful captain. The Bruins were going nowhere with him. He is also going to get more money, which I never thought. So I'll take the L on that. I don't like the way they allow Hall of Famers to walk away, or the way that they work deals with some of their great players. Bergeron took deals that, again, helped the team. But the way they handled this season with Swayman, Marchand, Montgomery, they mismanaged the entire thing. We could talk about it all day. But after talking with one Matt McCarthy about it, best case scenario happened for both sides.
No doubt.
The Bruins moved on. They'll get a future first-round pick. Brad Marchand goes to a team that can win back-to-back championships, and he's been the reason why they have been an offensive hockey team. So, do I like the Panthers? No. But I like the thought of Brad Marchand helping that team go back-to-back, and I do like the thought of if they did win a championship, a Bruin from that era has won 2. And I just think that he matches up against all those players if he does. I'm not saying it's Bergeron better than Marchand. I'm not doing that. But that era, they deserved more than one championship. And I'm happy for Marchand if he gets it, even if it's with the Panthers. And the way that he's playing, I think he's Conn Smythe ready. I just saw the number, plus 3,100 for him to win the Conn Smythe. I think there's value in that.
No doubt about it. I mean, he's been one of their better players, and, he's a perfect fit for that team, Joe. He is a perfect, and it pains me to say it, Brad Marchand is a perfect Florida Panther. He is, and he has a hell of a lot more to give that team than he's been able to give the Bruins in recent years. And I can understand why Bruins fans are frustrated by watching that, because I get the sense that at least some fans, Joe, are having a hard time with this. And they didn't want Marchand gone in the first place, and they still hold that against the team. I think the team got the absolute best case scenario. This wasn't going in any direction positively for them. They traded Marchand when he was hurt, which hurt his value at the deadline. And, they put a deal out 2 or 3 years later, kind of similar to the Nets deal from years ago, where you hope that Florida is not the team they, are in 2 or 3 years. And now you're getting a first-round pick for Brad Marchand. It was the absolute best case scenario for the Bruins, because it was not going to happen here. Nothing close to this was going to happen here. And it was the best case scenario for the player, because it turns out he has more to give than I thought he had left to give. But you were not going to get that here. It had to be in a place like Florida where there's talent around him and he can go in there and be Brad Marchand. He doesn't have to be the captain. He doesn't have to be the leader. He can be a part of what you're doing. And he's been perfect for them. Perfect.
Usually I don't like it when someone gets traded and does well. Right? It's weird, but I kind of rooted for Phil Kessel at the end of his career. Remember he was the last pick at one point.
So you don't like it when guys get traded, like you actively root against them? Because you can't you have, I don't know, FOMO or whatever that is, fan FOMO. It's like, well, this should be happening for us. Joe, it wasn't going to happen here.
I got it.
Not a chance. Not a chance in hell you get this version of Marchand.
It makes me hate the Sweeney operation this year. Now, I'll give Don Sweeney credit. I thought he did a hell of a job at the trade deadline. I really do. I think he actually saved his job, and here he is again with an extension. But they probably knew going into this year they wanted to give him an extension at the number they wanted. That was all that mattered, Matt. A number, they wanted it, he wanted it, they wouldn't meet him, and finally they said, we have to do this. But I think starting the year, he probably wasn't a fit for the team anyways. I just think it was a bad approach letting that player go into the final year of his deal without an extension. And I know he wasn't playing to the number,
No, he was not a $6.75 million a year player here.
So maybe that's
he is
why,
there.
and maybe Sweeney did try, and that's why it worked itself out to be a trade deadline deal. But man, the way they approached this season, out on it.
So the Marchand thing in a vacuum, I don't have a problem with them entering this year with Marchand, having 1 year left to go. You had to see what he had left, coming off an injury. You had to see where the state of the franchise was. And it turns out it was not good. And it turns out that Brad Marchand probably wasn't your best fit for captain moving forward. And it turns out that you were not a playoff team. So I'm glad that they entered this year, with Marchand unsigned, which forced them to trade a franchise icon, because in turn, in the end, it got them what they needed, which is a first-round pick a few years from now. That all ended up working out just fine. It's everything else, the way they approached the beginning of this year, that you have a real legitimate gripe with. They approached the Swayman thing. Obviously, they let that, extend into training camp, towards the end of training camp. The coach had no contract. Your captain had no contract. So when you add all of those things up, this team was never set up for success in the first place. The Marchand thing in a vacuum, fine. But you pile that on top of all the uncertainty surrounding everybody else in the organization, no wonder they bottomed out this year. And that you can go at them for.
I'm rooting for Marchand.
Me too.
Just like I rooted for Ray Bork. Oh, funny how those two, contract issues with the Bruins and then get traded and then go on to a Stanley Cup.
Well, we are also re-entering the dark ages of Boston sports here, Joe. So maybe Marchand can do his day with the cup here. Do a nice little parade.
Oh, yeah.
I miss parades. Don't you miss parades?
I don't like parades.
I know
but
you don't.
You know what, though? If Marchand came around, I want to go to that bar.
You and me?
Yeah. Hey, remember the big tab that they lit up?
Yeah.
Was that at Foxwoods?
Down at Foxwoods?
They want to go there. I'm in. Take a nice little ride. Maybe we hit up some. They got a great pizza joint down there that I'm very aware of that I like. David Burke's an outstanding
Love David
steak.
Burke's. Popovers?
That'd be fun.
You, me,
I know a guy
Stu,
there. Stu, I know a
and
guy.
Marchand with the cup at David Burke's.
In with that hanging bacon. You know about that, Jimmy.
In.
We've been there.
100% in.
In on that. All right. Well, we've re-entered everybody.